When I made the film Godfather 2, it had 6 settings. There was a modern Lake Tahoe setting. There was a Las Vegas setting. There was an old New York 1920s setting. There was a Sicilian setting. There was a Havana setting during the Havana Revolution. So in a sense, the movie it had a New York setting, it had an LA setting, and a Las Vegas setting, if I mentioned. So it was like this movie with all these other parts. But I never was scratching my head saying, oh, what part am I in? To me, they were just all part of the same movie, and I went from one to the other to do it. And that's sort of how I find in my life my relationship to storytelling and or call it show business or call it theater. I have, you know, my career, I've gone from thing to thing, sort of just irresponsibly doing whatever I want. I didn't like get to be a movie director and then just stay being a movie director every year, making a movie like a sausage that goes out. I've always been interested in the bigger idea of storytelling or theater. I mean, after all, cinema is nothing more than an evolution of theater, which has been with us for thousands of years. And in thinking about that, I realized that all these activities that I've been involved in, seemingly irresponsibly in a way, the wine business, the hotel business, the resort business, has all been a form of theater. It's all been a form of storytelling. And those of you who are in the wine business certainly know that the wine business is largely the storytelling business. It's not that glass, that beverage that the people look at, that they enjoy the aroma, that they enjoy the flavors. Because without the story, it is just a beverage. But with the story of the families that went to those lands, be they in Europe or in the New World, such as South Africa or Argentina, where we are, which makes incredibly wonderful wine. The thing about Argentina wine that's different than Chilean wine and other wines, which are also, they're fine wines, is that basically the Argentines are largely Italians, whereas Chileans are largely other people's, Germans, Spanish, of course. But they were very good at marketing and commercializing wine, but the Argentines, they drank it, you know, because it was wonderful wine. And so they were very slow to begin to export it. And Argentine wine remains some of the best wine in the world, but you know, it's a bargain. It's a great. When you're in a restaurant, you look at all the various wines. If there's an Argentine wine on the list, buy it because you're going to get a lot for your money. But my point is that it's the story. It's the story of the people who came to those countries, who found the land or even in the wonderful Bordeaux stories of the widow who was there and the young English adventurer who came and they found and fell in love and it became Chateau Palmer or what have you. So it's the story of the wine and the family and the struggle to because ultimately wine is agriculture and the struggle against nature to come up with this fantastic elixir that we enjoy so much with food. Without the story, I don't know that wine would be a very interesting business, but without the story, tourism or hotels wouldn't be interesting because, as you say, indeed, it's the same thing. It's a show, and the staff, the team is the cast, and the people who work in the gardens and who work so hard, they're the crew, and there is a vision. And like all theater, it's made up usually in all of these fields, be it wine, be it hotels, be it film, be it theater, any form of what we'll call show business. There are two aspects to it. There's the big concept, the big idea, and then there's a million details that support it. So when you go into the hotel, you may understand that this is a hotel devoted to, say, the traditions of this land and the culture of this land. But it's through the details that you get to really experience. It's sort of like the difference between strategy and tactics. And in the film, there might be all films have a big theme, the big picture, the big story. but you really enjoy it through the thousands of little memorable details, the line of dialogue or the little moment, the way so-and-so looked at so-and-so. So it's this combination of details supporting a big theme that seems to be at the root of all storytelling, and storytelling is at the root of all of the various businesses that all of us are in, be it hotel business, be it tourism business, be it the cinema, be it the theater, or the wine business, or the food business, or the restaurant business. It's all the same thing. It's all that basic human activity of telling a story with a big idea, big theme, and using 1,000 memorable details to support it. And so I found in my own life this accidentally. I basically, when I was younger, I recognized that you needed a lot of money to make the movie you wanted to make, because otherwise you were going around begging people to give you some money so you could make a film that might or might not ever make its money back. And so when I was younger, I thought, well, what I've got to do is I've got to have some money so I can just go make the film, so I don't go hat in hand and ask permission to do it. And I tried to make I invested in this or I invested in that, and I always lost. And then I said, I'm not going to even try to make money anymore. I'm just going to do everything that I love. And if I love wine, I'm going to just make wine and enjoy wine and did it for my friends, and like my grandfather did, and he had 7 sons, and they made wine in their home because America had something which many of you will not be able to understand, which was prohibition, where it was illegal. It was illegal to have wine and make wine and spirits. Winston Churchill said that's against civilization. but they did allow Italians or since Americans are all immigrants, they did allow people from wine drinking countries. You could make 2 barrels of wine in your home for your own table. And so I would hear, my grandfather had 7 sons, so I heard these great stories of trying to steal the grapes, and because the kids didn't want the wine, they wanted the grapes, So that's how I got into it. And my point is I just started to do what I loved. And I made money. I don't know why. I don't know, maybe there is some magic that if you do what you love, you will be lucky. I always tell you, young people are always being told by their parents, no, don't study philosophy and be a novelist. Be an accountant first, and then when you have a living, then study philosophy and be a novelist. Or don't be an artist. Be a teacher. Or get an education degree. But that's the wrong thing to tell young people. You should tell young people, say, do what you love, because by doing what you love, they're going to know who they are. And the odds are that whatever they do that they love is going to be very useful to them. And my daughter, Sophia, said to me once, she was like, I don't know, maybe not even 20. She said, Daddy, am I just a dilettante? I want to be a painter. I love to paint, and I like stories, and I like fashion. I like fashion photography. And am I just a dilettante? And I said, no, do everything you love. And eventually, it will all be clear what it is you're meant to do. And I advise all of you who have young kids who are at that age where they're not sure what to do, tell them to do what they love, because by doing that, they are going to define who they are, and whatever it is they are, if they study for a while fashion, or if they study for a while journalism, believe me, it will all come together as it did for Sophia. And who knew she was going to be a movie director, that writing stories and doing fashion and being a painter was all going to eventually contribute to what she was. So I guess what I'm saying at this ripe, gray old age, as I come to you, because I see you all look pretty young to me, I must say, is that I did make a decision midway through my life to forget trying to make money and just do all the things that I loved. And that included winemaking, that included going off into the jungle. When you make a movie in the jungle, as I did with Apocalypse Now in the Philippines, and famously, Lawrence of Arabia, David Lean, he fell so in love with the desert that when the movie was over, he couldn't leave. And I found that when Apocalypse Now was over, the jungle is a scary place, as I'm sure the desert is, but the jungle is also a very safe place. The jungle is a place where there might be a thorn that will kill you, but the same tree that has the thorn that will kill you has a leaf that if you eat it will cure you, which is why all medicine comes from the jungle. So I started to realize I loved the jungle. I didn't want to leave the jungle. And I said to my wife, well, I want to buy a place in the jungle. I want to. She said, but Francis, you just bought a winery in Napa Valley. You have to get back there asking what they should do with the winery. Find a jungle that's closer to the winery, because you're probably not going to get on a plane and go to the Philippines for 11 hours. So I said, oh, maybe you're right. So when I read in the paper that British Honduras, which was the part of Central America, was becoming Belize in 1981, I went with my son to find my own jungle, and that's how we found a place up in an abandoned place up in the mountains, and that's how I found myself in having a lodge and ultimately being in the hotel. But if you say yes enough, you'll be in the hotel business. That's the key. So I love my life. I love the fact that I stumbled along just basically doing the things that I was interested in, that I loved, telling my story along the way, whether it was in a film, whether it was in a hotel, whether it was in a wine. I prospered, and more wonderful of all, I ended up having children who are all, as you know, my daughter is a wonderful filmmaker. My granddaughter, that's all my children have done what they love, and they seem to be prospering and be happy. So that's what I've learned, that the tourism business, the hotel business is another expression of storytelling, and storytelling is where we first uncover that mysterious word that you all want to know about, which is the brand. Because when do you first encounter your brand? It's when you're 4 years old and you go to kindergarten and you tell the other kids, I'm Francie Coppola and my lucky number is 7. I already at kindergarten, I had a brand. I was Francie and I was Francie and my lucky number was 7 because I was born on April 7th. And I could tell stories. And so suddenly the other kids liked me because I told lots of stories, because I had read, I don't know how I could read, but I could, all the fairy tales, and I would tell them the story of Snow White and Rose Red and the Tinder Box and the Little Mermaid and what have you. So already I had my brand at age 5, and I had my profession. I was going to be a storyteller. And being a storyteller doesn't necessarily mean you can only make movies. You can also make wine. You can also make hotels. You can do everything that you bring a group of people together and you have a big idea and give them all these wonderful details that you can possibly think of. Well, I mean, let's be frank. Life is travel. When we live our lives, we don't sit in a room in an easy chair. We're out interacting within our culture, within our family. Who would be given this incredible opportunity to be alive and not go anywhere or interact with people? That's all it is. That's ultimately, and I like to think of, in that great mysterious moment coming up, we don't ever know when, but when you meet your maker, as they say, or when you confront death, I'm not going to sit there and say, gee, I wish I had done this, I wish I had done that, I wish I had done. I'm going to say, oh, I got to do this, and I got to do that, and I got to be in the movie business. I got to see my kids be in the movie business. I got to be in the hotel business, and I got to go to Argentina and make a movie, and I'm be so busy saying all the things I got to do that when I die, I'm not going to notice it. And the irony is that what you said, the irony, and I don't know if this is some great cosmic joke, but if you do the things to love, the odds are you will make a lot of money too, for some strange reason. I don't even know what the logic of that is, but that is what has happened. That maybe it makes sense. If you do the things that you really personally are involved in and motivated by, of course it's going to connect with other people. And isn't that what making money or having power or influence really is, that other people are attracted or somehow respond to what it is you're doing? And if everyone who responds to what you're doing gives you 10 cents, you're going to have a lot of money. And so it makes sense that if you do the things you love, you're going to probably do it better than the things that you don't love, because you're doing it with all of that, all the force of your heart and your imagination, and you'll prosper. And so those people here who are concerned with the brand or their platform or their hospitality or travel, life is an adventure. Life is an incredible adventure, and you're sharing that with other people. So of course you're going to prosper.